To Knicks Chicks family, welcome back to another episode. I'm your girl, Lady and the Chef, rolling solo dolo today. But lots to talk about with yesterday's game. The Knicks did lose to Charlotte. Not a good game by the Knicks, to say the least. They lost 103 to 114. Um, I think from the rip, I really wasn't feeling the way the Knicks were playing. They just looked a few steps too slow. Um, the defense looked weak. I've been talking about how this has been an issue with this team and how the Knicks have to figure out a way to tighten up the defense. I'm not sure if the Knicks are going to have any time to address these defensive issues that they've been having with this team, as this has been an ongoing issue with these guys. Which is just I don't know how you fix these issues at this point of the season, right? Charlotte game. Uh, Let me pull up these stats. I want to go over these stats for the Charlotte game. OG Anunoby played 39 minutes, had 17 points. He was 6 for 10 from the field, 5 for 9 from the 3-point line. He had 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Josh Hart played 39 minutes, had 16 points. He was 7 of 11 from the field, 2 for 4 from the 3-point line. He did have 7 boards and 4 assists. Carl Anthony Town had a very quiet game. 22 points, 22 minutes, 13 points. He was 5 for 8 from the field, 1 for 1 from the 3-point line. He did hit both of his free throws, three boards and 2 assists. Jalen Brunson had a solid game. He played 40 minutes, had 26 points. He was 10 for 23 from the field, missed all 6 of his 3-point shots. He did hit all of his free throws. He was 6 for 6 from the free throw line and did have 13 assists. Mikal Bridges played 32 minutes. I'm not sure why Mikal Bridges is still playing so many minutes. He did give you 14 points. He was 6 for 12 from the field, 2 for 5 from the 3-point line. Mo Diawara played 13 minutes, had 5 points. Tyler Kolek played 6 minutes, didn't score anything. He didn't even have an assist. Jordan Clarkson played 18 minutes. He got into some foul trouble trying to guard LaMelo. He did have 8 points. And then Alvarado played 5 minutes, and Mitchell Robinson played some solid minutes. Played 26 minutes, had 4 points and 6 rebounds. The Knicks, when you look at the stats for this game, um, they only missed one free throw. They were 8 for 9 at 88%. Charlotte was at 80%. The Knicks got out rebounded 43 to 24. Same thing with the assists. Charlotte outbeat them 28 to 26. Same thing with the blocks. Charlotte had 4, New York had 2. The Knicks did have 8 steals. Didn't have a lot of turnovers, surprisingly. The Knicks only had 10 turnovers. So that wasn't bad, on its own. And it's surprisingly, points off turnovers, the Knicks outbeat Charlotte in that category 17 to 13. But fast break points, Charlotte beat the Knicks in that category 15 to 7. The Knicks did have 48 points in the paint to Charlotte's 44, but it just wasn't a good game. The largest lead in this game was 21, which was Charlotte's largest lead over the Knicks. The Knicks only had a 2-point lead at one point over Charlotte. And then the Knicks got outscored. You look at the first quarter, they got outscored 38 to 36. They got outscored in the second quarter, 27 to 19. They got outscored in the third quarter as well, 29 to 21. And then in the fourth quarter, they scored 27 to Charlotte's 20. But at that point, it was too late. I'm not, when Diva Locks and I were giving our predictions, I did say that the Knicks will go 2-1 because I wasn't sure if this Charlotte game yesterday or the OKC game was going to be a trap game for the Knicks. And for some reason, I was leaning more on the Charlotte game, possibly being the Knicks' loss, only because Charlotte has been playing really well as of late, right? That was their fourth win now or fifth win. But regardless, they have been playing well. They're trying to make the playoffs. And if you watch the game, Charlotte just looked a lot more hungrier. They looked like they wanted it more versus the Knicks. They looked like they were imposing their will from the jump ball. And they looked, even the way their coach was like getting into, I'm surprised he didn't get a tech, but the way he was yelling at the refs, he was getting on the guys in a timeout. They would treat it was like Charlotte was playing yesterday's game as if it was a playoff game. They just handed the Knicks an ass whooping, and the Knicks had no response. Quite honest, they had no answer for Charlotte. Charlotte wanted that game more, and it was just their effort, their energy, the intensity that they brought, and the Knicks just didn't have that. Again, even just looking at the way the Knicks was playing from the first quarter, even at the start of the third quarter, they was lackadaisical. There wasn't enough energy going on, and it just looks like it was a lot of sloppy, rookie type first couple of games of a season mistakes. And at this point, you don't want to see that. And I'm not hitting the panic button, but should the Knicks be losing to Charlotte? No, you shouldn't be losing to a team like that. I mean, Charlotte has good guys on that team. They really do. That when you look at who was killing the Knicks, Kneppel. He hit 6 threes. He had 26 points, 8 assists, 11 rebounds. Not to mention Miles Bridges had his way because Jalen Brunson somehow kept having to guard Bridges, who has 17 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Brandon Miller had 21 points, 8 rebounds. He was 4 for 8 from the 3-point line. LaMelo Ball was 4 for 9 from the 3-point line with 22 points. And then Kobe White, let's not forget, he can kill you too. Surprisingly, he was only 1 for 5 from the three, but he had a pretty solid game as well. 17 points. He was 4 for 4 from the free throw line, had 3 rebounds, 2 assists. So, I don't know. I just think I don't want to blame fatigue. You got to be a professional. You've been playing these games. This is not the time to start getting tired anyway, as you know, you got a game to play. You got to do what you got to do and come out and treat every game like you want to win them. And I know that the Knicks are not going to win every game. I get that. I know they're not going to win every game. But I just didn't think that this performance by the Knicks was a solid one, to say the least, right? Um, you look at the game, Brunson started the game with 17-point first quarter. He did cool off in the second half. He did secure his first double-double since March 4th. I believe that represents his ninth contest now of this season with at least 10 points and 10 plus assists. But then what was interesting in this game was I want to say there was around 8 minutes left in the game, and Mike Brown took Towns out of the game and put in Mitchell Robinson. The Knicks were down by 20 at that point. So I guess what Brown was looking for was a spark, maybe having Mitch come in the game and give you more physicality than what Towns was bringing, because Towns just wasn't giving you any of that, to say the least. But I don't know. I was looking up on this and what was Brown's logic behind sitting down Towns, who just didn't have a good game. I just thought Karl-Anthony Towns wasn't aggressive enough. Part of it was he wasn't asking for the ball enough. And then the other part of it is that I didn't really see him getting the ball, but he also didn't really look like he was calling for the ball. Some of it was the defense, but I don't want to say it was fully on Charlotte not playing good defense, because when you look, especially in the first half, Brunson was able to get Robinson the ball in the paint with the alley-oops, and he was able to get easy buckets. So Charlotte didn't really have an answer in the paint for Robinson, or Cat for that being. But I just didn't think that Cat was aggressive enough. He just didn't look like he wanted it enough, and he didn't impose his will on guys in the paint. So Yeah, I think that's a whole other thing with Carl Anthony Towns. But Mike Brown was asked about sitting Cat down and putting Robinson in, and he simply stated, I just thought that when we had Mitch in there with certain guys, we were able to match their physicality, which is very true. Going back to what I just said about how Mitch was able to get the alley oops, the rebounds that Towns just wasn't giving you. He said, and we made a run, but we were down 20 at that time. And versus a good team on the road, that's tough to do. The Knicks were able to trim the lead down to just 10 with less than 2 minutes remaining, but it was too late. Charlotte eventually pulled off. They was able to win 114-103. Um, Towns also basically didn't have a problem with Mike Brown's decision to put him in the bench. Um, he said, I got my notes here, sorry. Town told reporters after the game that he would continue to cheer on his teammates if he's on the bench, and he'll be ready to play whenever his number gets called. Now, I think Towns, yes, when you're on any sports team, you should be prepared to cheer on your teammates. But I go back to when, I don't remember what game this was, but Shaq was basically trying to let Cat know this was live on air. You know, he was trying to let him know, like, young fella, when you play great, the Knicks can go far. And I didn't see anything wrong with what Shaq said. Do I have my issues with Shaq and his switch hitter and negativeness towards the Knicks? Kind of like um, Stephen A. Yes. But I thought what Shaq was saying to Cat after that game was very valid. He was basically trying to tell him, you need to be aggressive. You have to go and attack. You have to be assertive. You got to be gritty. You got to go out there and do what you need to do. The same way Brunson could put the team on his back, some nights Cat is going to have to do that. And I'm not going to dismiss that Cat has been playing well and has, been given double doubles the last few games, and he has turned a corner. But this is why I don't like to get too high or too low. I don't like to get too high or too low. That's why I said I'm not here to panic. But at the same time, there's a lot of issues with this team, with this particular roster. And I'm gonna say it's this roster, but it's also this team. As much as the Knicks want to compete for a championship, I think that this team still has a lot of bad habits. And I'm gonna continue to keep saying this. I don't care how many shows I've been saying this because it still stands true. This Knicks team has bad habits that haven't been addressed. The Knicks, quite honestly, it's not to a T, but in some ways, they're still playing the same way they were playing under Tibbs. When it comes to a lot of the bad habits. Sure, Tibbs brought them to where he brought them. That was expected. Tibbs hasn't won a championship. And Mike Brown, I think part of the reason why he got the job is his experience winning a championship as an assistant coach and what he did when he was coaching Cleveland. And I don't know. I don't know if it was the right decision because I haven't seen any changes made on both ends of the floor. And honestly, I do not care what the stats say on paper. I really don't care at this point. I'm tired of hearing, well, on paper the Knicks is they're ranked here, they're ranked there, they're in top this, they're in this, or they felt. I don't care what's on the paper. I'm going by what my eyes show me. When I watched the game yesterday, that's what I'm looking at, what my eyes are showing me. And I'm gonna be honest, even when the Knicks were winning those 7 games during that 7-game win streak, and I said this to Divalocks, I said, I asked her, do you think that those 7-game wins were like solid wins? that the Knicks were winning, or were those like the Knicks won because they were playing subpar under 500 teams? And she was like, yeah, I'm not going to say that they were all exactly, the bulk of them weren't solid wins. A win is a win and we'll take it. But some of those wins, let's be honest, the Knicks barely scathed past those teams. So there's some issues here that just haven't been addressed. And I think until the Knicks get the proper leadership from a coach, and when I say proper leadership, I mean you got to tighten up those loose ends. Everything is not fully tightened up, like fully tight. There's a couple of loose screws on this team that haven't been addressed. And I think that they don't have the coach yet who's brought that here yet. So when you look at a game like yesterday, I'm really curious why this season has Cat been playing inconsistent. And I'm wondering, is it that he's not playing to his full potential, or is this Mike Brown's offense that's the problem? Because even if it was Brown's offense, to me as a player, you should still be doing your thing and balling out of control. So then you can expose it that one way. Maybe it is Brown's offense. I do want to mention too that the Hornets entered yesterday's game second in the league in 3-point attempts at 42.8 attempts per game. And they're shooting it at 38.2%, which is good for, I believe, third in the league. So I'm just not sure what's the deal. Again, and I'm not going to dismiss what Cat has done, right? And how he's turned it up and gotten better and you know, brought forth more energy. I'll give him that. But I just don't know if it's enough to get this team, you know, where they need to go and for him to be consistent on a more consistent basis. Cat is averaging 20 points per game, a little shy of 12 rebounds per game, and a little shy of 3 assists per game this season. He leads the NBA with 51 double doubles in 69 games during the 2025-2026 season. Nikola Jokic is the only player within distance of Towns with 49 double doubles in 59 games. So, yeah. Now, Mike Brown, he did speak about the adjustments he has made that has allowed Karl Anthony Towns to play better as we've been seeing as of late. And Mike Brown said, I had to adjust him as well after the Knicks 121-116 win over New Orleans, with Cat had 21 points, 14 rebounds. Mike Brown said, that's what a season is about. I had to make some adjustments to figure out how I could get him involved a little bit better and get him to feel a little bit more comfortable. Now, I think that's great that you figured out how to make adjustments to get Cat more involved. But I don't think that we've been seeing that. I don't know. I hear Mike Brown and what he's saying to the media and the press on that, but I just feel like it's not just the Karl Anthony Town adjustment thing that needs adjustments. It's the defense. And quite honestly, it's the offense. If you look in the Charlotte game, as we've seen this in a lot of games with the Knicks offense a lot of times get very stagnant. And it was a lot of dribbling by Brunson that just, I'm not sure what was all that dribbling about. It was a lot of dribbling, the ball not really going anywhere. I did see OG looked aggressive last night, which was nice. Mikal Bridges, yeah, he had 14 points, but I'm still not necessarily like amazed by what Mikal Bridges is doing. 14 points, but can you give us at least 20 points? You know, I'm not sure on that. I did see where Tracy McGrady was challenging Carl Anthony Towns. He spoke on the Post Sports Scheme Time podcast, and he explained to Adam Shine how Towns is the key to the Knicks' playoff success. Kind of like what Shaq has been saying. Uh, Tracy McGrady challenged Towns to live up to his talent and change his mentality ahead of the postseason. I think that's key with him saying that. Tracy McGrady also mentioned he's got to have the want to. He's got to want that. I'm sure coaches and his teammates are talking to him about that. He's got to want that. He's got to want that for himself and for his team. And if he takes that approach, that mentality, nobody can guard Cat. No one. This guy is so talented. And I think that's key too with Cat. We haven't seen him with the silly fouls and things like that, but and I know he alluded to when he was asked about being benched in yesterday's matchup against Charlotte, how, he's going to cheer on his teammates and stay ready. And that was kind of like what he was alluding to when Shaq was trying to tell him he's the key to the Knicks going far. And he was like, yeah, I'm just trying to, do whatever my team needs to do. And Shaq was like, no, that's not what I'm telling you. So I don't know. I think the mentality is a big key piece in here because I agree in that's something that Cat is going to have to work on. And I don't know. I just thought he had no answer for the Knicks. He just looked awful, 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 awful. He wasn't there at all. And when he was good, I was just like, well, why wasn't he doing this all along? So it was just, I don't know. It just wasn't a good game by them. I wanted to talk about the defense with this Knicks team. The Knicks ranked 19th in opponent 3-point percentage and worse off, 22nd in 3-point attempts given up per game. So when I'm reading that and I'm thinking about the defense overall, but particularly the perimeter defense, it makes me think of this is one of the issues that I've been saying over and over and over again, especially the last, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 shows that we've gone live about the Knicks defense and my issues with this Knicks defense and how the Knicks have a defense problem. What I'm seeing is Mike Brown, like Tom Thibodeau, has opted to protect the paint. And I've been saying this, the Knicks, when they play defense, they're scrunched up in the paint. And I can tell this is not just a player thing. This is the way the coaches have been coaching them to play defense. They want the Knicks to protect the paint. And, if you get out there to the perimeter, you get out there. But they're so concerned with the paint. I don't know why the Knicks are like this. I don't know if it's because they feel like we don't have enough, besides Mitchell Robinson, we don't have enough guys who, with the height and the aggressiveness like Mitchell Robinson. Sure, you got Josh Hart, you got OG, but I don't know if it's because they don't feel like we have enough true backup centers like a Mitchell Robinson who can go in the paint and protect it like he can, where Mitch makes players alter their shot and switch their shots. But Mike Brown, like Tom Thibodeau, has opted to protect the paint and limit easy opportunities within the arc. If I'm wrong, you tell me I'm wrong. But if you're a true Knicks fan and you watch the games, Mike Brown, like Tom Thibodeau, has opted to protect the paint and limit the easy opportunities within the arc, which leaves the defense left in a constant state of recovery. And I've said this over and over and over and over and over. I'm turning into a broken record. The Knicks are not a good recovery team. So if they're not a good recovery team, we're leaving teams wide open. And I said this, I said this to Divalocks. I said Charlotte is gonna shoot the three. It's not just LaMelo that's just gonna shoot the three. They have 3-point shooters. Kneppel shot the lights out. Everything was going down for him. He was even driving past Mitchell Press, whoever he wanted, and did whatever the hell he wanted. Not to mention, Brunson was guarding Miles Bridges, which was so uncomfortable to watch. I was cringing because I was like, it looks like me trying to guard one of those guys out there. It just didn't work. But the problem is, to a degree, Mike Brown can't keep subbing to take Brunson out. I'm not sure who do you put in to guard a player like Miles Bridges. Bridges was having a good old grander time yesterday. He knew. He said, "Give me the ball." He taking the ball down in the paint. Brunson has no height. He also doesn't have the Brunson doesn't have the strength like a OG where he can hold his own one on one when he's guarding another player. So when Miles Bridges was turning around, he just got an easy shot. Not to mention, this is the issue too when you play a team like Charlotte and you have a point guard like LaMelo. LaMelo had a great game. He didn't really have to go off as much because other guys were on, right? Everybody was locked in for Charlotte. But the problem with LaMelo, he's quick, he's fast, and I don't care even if you had a Miles McBride in the game. No one on the Knicks can really guard LaMelo. He's fast. He knows how to create space for himself. When he get that ball and start salsa dancing and dribbling, he's not just dribbling the air out the ball, wasting time. And even if he is a good percentage that shot, that long, wild 3-point, it's going to go down for him. But I'm watching and I watch Bridges on him, Mikal Bridges on him. No, I don't like Mikal Bridges' defense anyway. Again, I don't care what what it says on paper. I'm going by the eye test. Mikal tends to play alongside defense of a player. You're not staying in front of a guy. And when you play that kind of defense now, whether it's Mitch, Cat, OG, now they got to step up and play defense and play double defense because Mikal Bridges is now behind the player, and now his man is already shooting a mid-range jump shot. But the problem that's happening, and teams are starting to expose the Knicks, teams are owning in and double teaming Brunson, making it harder for him to score. And again, I'm not sure if part of that, I'm sure it is, part of that is a Mike Brown issue with the schematics on offense. But Brunson has to guard much bigger players, and teams are capitalizing on attacking Brunson. Brunson has to exert a lot of energy, fight through screens, all while lacking height to do all this. And the problem is as a coach, you're like, I'm sure Mike Brown is like, well, if I take him out, then I gotta, what do you do? And not every team is gonna be lights out from the 3-point line. I get that. But it's gonna be at about a 90% chance, maybe 95, but at least a 90% chance, because I've seen this a lot. When the Knicks played Detroit, I couldn't for the life of me figure out why the hell was Brunson guarding Cade. And there was no adjustment there. So I'm not sure why Mike Brown hasn't brought any changes to this whole protect the paint realm that we have on this team, but we don't guard the perimeter. And I'm going to be honest with you, the Knicks have been playing like this even before Tom Thibodeau was the coach. I don't know If you're the defensive coordinator for the New York Knicks, you have to be watching film. The same way I'm watching the games, you have to be watching the games. Why is this still being allowed? This is not just about the Charlotte game. This is as a whole. This is not just this season. This is seasons past seasons. This is something that hasn't been addressed on this team. Just like when you watch certain games and the Knicks can't make a shot, everyone is off. Why haven't the Knicks gotten a coach yet who's going to say, all right, let's switch it up and let's attack the basket? I haven't seen that on this team. The Knicks will keep shooting, shoot, and shoot, and shoot, and shoot, and then hitting, bricking, 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 bricking. Nobody's making a shot. And Mike Brown's still standing up on the sidelines with his hands in his pocket. And I read an article that said Mike Brown, unlike Tom Thibodeau, he falls back in some of the huddles. He lets the other coaches, give their takes and coach guys. And so who's in the huddle? Who's saying what? Because something's not adding up here. The Knicks got exposed, and the Knicks have gotten exposed a few times this season. I'm not just talking about certain losses. I'm talking about it's the way that this team is playing. It's the way that they lost. The last time the Knicks played OKC, I could accept that loss, not just because they lost by 3, but they played a good, solid game. But when you watch a game like yesterday's against Charlotte, the Knicks just looked like they were ready. Like they're not even in third seeding on the East. The Knicks look like they ready for the season to be over. I'm ready to go kick it on the beach, go with my family. That's how the Knicks played yesterday. But what I'm curious to know is anyone concerned in the playoffs with Brunson being left guarding a bigger, taller guard? And this guard could shoot. We know what Brunson could do. I'm not worried about what Brunson could do on the offensive end. We know what Brunson could do. We know what the Knicks could do on offense. The problem with offense with the Knicks is that they could be streaky. Either as a whole, they're not making shots, right? When they're not good, sometimes they're not making shots. That's not a problem because you can go to plan B and say, well, let's attack the basket. Let's get the other team in foul trouble. Let's stop the clock. Let's get to the free throw line. The Knicks don't do that. Or capitalize using Mitchell Robinson or Karl-Anthony Towns, which you don't really see a lot of lobs to Karl-Anthony Towns. But to Mitchell Robinson, yes. I understand that their playing style and offense is very different. I get that. But then the other thing with offense is that sometimes some players don't show up. They clocked in, but they ain't really show up to work. Sometimes it's OG, sometimes it's Mikal. Clocked in, you gonna get paid, getting paid, but you physically there, but you ain't really there. Sometimes it's Brunson, sometimes it's Cat. You don't know with this team. Again, I'm not dismissing them winning 7 games. The Knicks have done that before. They won 8 games in a row. You won 9 games in a row. We've seen that already. And the thing is that I'm noticing right now a lot of the Knicks content creators and media are discussing who should the Knicks play in the first round. At this point, the Knicks better hope they can get past the first round. It's not me being negative, it's me being real. Better hope you can get out of the first round. How about that? Because playing the way they've been playing, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Sometimes this team is very sometime-ish. Mitchell Robinson said, unless we change our approach, we ain't doing shit special. This is what Mitchell Robinson said. Unless we change our approach, we ain't doing shit special. He said, keep that bullshit up, myself included. Mitchell Robinson knew they wasn't winning that game yesterday. He was coaching Huck Porty, giving him some pointers, which I thought was excellent advice, by the way, teaching him how to study the game from the bench, stay ready. I don't believe the Knicks should bring Huck Porty back. I already mentioned that anyway. When you look at, not to mention, the Knicks could have clinched a playoff spot with yesterday's win, had they won. But the Knicks still have a chance to win the Atlantic Division. The Boston Celtics hold 2 games ahead into the final weeks of this season. The Knicks are 48-26, and the Knicks hold a 12-3 record against the Atlantic, while Boston, they've struggled with a 9-5 record against divisional opponents. But both teams own a 7-3 mark over the last 10 games. So the fight for the division could come down to the regular final season between both Boston and the Knicks at MSG on April 9th. So not all hope is gone. The Knicks still have an opportunity, but I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I just know that this team has some brokenness going on. And I think if the Knicks don't get to, because quite honestly, I don't even think that the front office wants the Knicks to just go to the Eastern Conference Finals. They're looking for the Knicks to go to the finals. So I think if the Knicks fall short, I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of changes on the roster this season. There'll be a lot of changes, and quite honestly, I think it's due. I think the only player on this Knicks team that's going to be safe is Jalen Brunson. So he'll be the only guy that's going to be safe, and everyone else can be up. So I'm not losing all hope. I think the Knicks can bring it in the playoffs. We've seen what they've done throughout the regular season. The playoffs are a different animal, a different stage, a different level that I think teams tend to bring. And the Knicks are still the hunted. I'm still standing by that. Teams are quite honestly looking to get the Knicks out, right? So I'll leave with this. What version of the Knicks are going to show up in the playoffs? Will there be consistency in the playoffs? Are the Knicks going to be a little better at guarding the 3, the perimeter? Mike Brown, his adjustments. Are you going to leave Brunson? Here's the thing. When Brunson guards a bigger guard, now it forces the Knicks to play this double team defense. But even when Brunson's not guarding a bigger guard, the Knicks are still, that's another issue that they have. They're playing this double team defense, which I'm not sure why the Knicks are doing this. It makes absolutely no sense. Why are you playing double team defense when you're not a good recovery team? I'm not understanding why are we doing this. And, like I mentioned with Mike Brown, he's playing the same type of defense that Tom Thibodeau had this team playing. So I'm not sure. Again, I thought when the front office hired Mike Brown, they was looking for something different. But Mike Brown is playing this roster with a lot of the same bad habits that they had under Tom Thibodeau, and quite honestly, that the Knicks had before Tom Thibodeau became coach. But Mike Brown didn't change anything up on the defense. Again, I don't care what it says on paper and what the stats say. Mike Brown, to the eye test, he's opted to protect the paint like Tom Thibodeau wanted them to play. Everyone protect the paint, and we'll leave the perimeter open. And a lot of times you don't even see guys on the Knicks running out to the perimeter to try to even put a hand up. The problem with the way the Knicks are playing defense with that in the paint defense and limiting easy opportunities from the perimeter, the Knicks are always going to be in a constant state of recovery. And it always leaves someone open. Like, why play that way? I don't get it. When this team is not a good recovery team. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And then Mikal Bridges, to me, I'm not sure why is he playing so many minutes when he just hasn't been good. I mean, OG and Josh Hart both played 39, and Mikal Bridges played 32. But Mikal Bridges is playing well over 30 minutes a game. I don't know. This is why I say at the end of this season, they're going to have to make changes to this roster. This is just not it. It's not going to cut it because I'm not looking for perfection. But I think while this team has grown and they've gotten better, there's still a lot of holes that haven't been addressed yet on this team. There's still a lot of bad habits that have still been lingering. Again, this is even before Tom Thibodeau that haven't been addressed. And I don't think that the front office has hired the right type of coach for this Knicks team. The right type of coach for this Knicks team has to bring structure, better structure, a stronger sense of leadership, better schematics, have better adjustments, and has to have other tricks up their bag. I talked about on the last show, one thing that Rick Carlisle did really well was that in the playoffs, he didn't minimize his rotations to like 8 guys, 7, 8 guys. He was playing with like 10, 11 guys. And that threw different bodies out there for the Knicks to have to guard, guys who had energy. And I think with Mike Brown, it seems like he wants the Knicks to play this like group, all 5 guys involved type of basketball, which is great. When the Knicks do it well, they do it well. The problem is that the Knicks run away from what works. So you'll got have games where the Knicks it's 4 or 5 passes before a shot. Guys are cutting the lanes, they're moving without the ball, they're scoring, the offense is fluid, but then the next game you don't see that. And then the game after that, you don't see that. So the Knicks make it harder for themselves. They make it harder for themselves to score. Not only that, the Knicks a lot of times have this bad habit where they allow other teams to dictate their pace. So they allow other teams to make them play this half-court offense, half-court defense, and they're limited. They're limited. So I just I don't know if Mike Brown is the answer. I think the playoffs is definitely going to be a way for Knicks fans to really own in with a magnifying glass to see what Mike Brown does. Because I said it before and I'm going to say it again and I'm going to keep saying it. If Mike Brown in the playoffs has this team playing first round, second round, I don't care what round it is. The way the Knicks played Detroit and there was no adjustments made, I'm gonna tell you right now, good luck if the Knicks get past the second round. And if the Knicks couldn't handle Charlotte, I get it was one game, but it's not. That wasn't a lucky game for Charlotte. Charlotte wanted that game on. They would come in hell or high water against the Knicks. But I think with the Knicks, going back to what I was just saying about the defense, if the Knicks can't figure out how to play better defense, I don't care what's on the stats sheet. I'm going by the eye test. I like the eye test better. I don't care where they're ranked defensively. I don't care where they're ranked offensively. If the Knicks can't figure out how to play perimeter defense, and I heard Clyde mention something like this on a broadcast. He said the Knicks continue to play poor perimeter defense against good teams and bad teams. So it's not just against subpar teams, it's against whoever. This has been an issue, and like I said, even before Tom Thibodeau came to this team. So I don't know. I think that this team has some real issues and things to address, honestly, that they have to figure out. So we'll see. I'm looking to see what the Knicks do. On Sunday, they play OKC. I'm hoping for them to rebound back, get a win. Um, Not just to get back in the winning column, but to beat OKC, who the Knicks played really well last time and should have won that game. Then the Knicks play again on Tuesday against Houston. The Knicks will still be on the road. So, yeah, Sunday they'll be in Oklahoma. Tuesday they'll be in Houston. Wednesday they play Memphis, back to backs. And then Friday, April 3rd, they'll be back home. So we'll see. I'm looking for the Knicks to clean it up for these next few games. There's not many games left. 8 games left. I'm hoping the Knicks can go maybe 5-3, right? I'm not asking for a lot. They play Charlotte again, you should be able to win that game. You play Toronto again, you should be able to win that game. You play Atlanta, you should be able to win that game. Boston, challenging, but you should be able to win that game. They play Chicago, you should be able to win that game. Memphis, you should be able to win that game. And then Houston and OKC. 5-3 sounds suffice, doable. So I don't know. We'll see. Shout out to the chat for joining me. Those who, what's up, Nostalgic Nick? Salute to you. David Smith, salute to you. Said Mike Brown in the Knicks front office updated pecking order of importance. Brunson, Hart, Bridges, OG, Mitch, and Cat. Cat has been demoted to 6-man role player. Knicks going nowhere this way. Yeah. I'm just not really fond of the way this team just, I don't know. And it's crazy because even when you watch the Knicks under Thibodeau, the Knicks played more aggressive and gritty. They weren't perfect. And again, I'm not looking for a perfect team. Some nights teams are going to be off. Some nights players are going to be off, and teams, they're not going to win every one. But it is about getting better. And I think the Knicks are getting better. I'm not going to take that from them. But there's still, to me, like defensive issues that haven't been addressed. And the Knicks are still doing the same thing, expecting a different result. And it's just insanity. And the same thing on offense. This shooting, and no one's hitting a shot, but we're not attacking the basket. That's a problem. This packing the paint on defense and no one's guarding the perimeter. That's a problem. Double teaming for what reason? It's a problem. Yeah, Brunson's 40 minutes, 26 points, but we lost. So it doesn't matter if he had 40 points. If we lost, it does nothing for this team. Nick's top priority is promoting a fake superstar, Jalen Brunson, as a superstar and promoting his Villanova sidekicks to the detriment of his other teammates such as Cat, OG, and Kolik. I don't want to say Brunson is a fake superstar. I think Brunson is a star. I don't think he's at superstar status yet. Um, but my honest opinion, I think this is why you need a better leader for a head coach, because sometimes when I look at this team, I wonder, would it be better to not always have Brunson bringing the ball up the floor and maybe have another point guard on the floor with him? And then now, if you're a good coach, you can set it up where, like how the Warriors sets Curry up so he can come off double screens and get the ball. Brunson's able to create space for himself as well. He's not just a three-point shooter like Deuce McBride needs to come off the screens and get the ball, and he's going to shoot the ball. But um, I wonder if that would work in the Knicks' favor to a degree. So Brunson doesn't have to work so hard on every possession on offense to score a basket. It shouldn't have to be like that, to be honest. And then also, while I do applaud Mike Brown for playing a lot of the guys on the bench, right? You see Kolik getting minutes this season. Jordan Clarkson has got into the rotation as well. I just don't know if sometimes when you watch other teams that the Knicks may play, they'll have these no-name guys who you like, who's that? Or they've only played a handful of games, but somehow they manage to kill the Knicks when they play the Knicks. And sometimes I think with the Knicks, we don't have the right coach in place to who can bring in those other guys. I'm not saying they should get heavy minutes, but who can get solid minutes on a more consistent basis and that they're involved, and where the schematics seem to be ran better, the plays seem to be ran better. And I just don't see that. I didn't really see it as much with Brown. I didn't see it as much with Thibodeau as well. Sometimes when it's a timeout and the Knicks come in, they'll get a nice play set up. I'll give them that. But I don't know. And then sometimes the other part of it for me is also, I don't know if this roster, I think this roster has the talent, but I don't know if this roster is it. I don't know if this roster is fully it. So I think you have to build around Brunson, but we need more consistent guys. We need more consistency here. Like, for one, I for sure would get rid of Mikal Bridges, Ariel Huckporty. And sometimes I'm on the fence with Cat. I think Cat is good when he's good, but having guys who show up and don't show up sometimes, it hurts this team. It's a pain point for this team. I do want to see Kolek and Mo stay on the team because I see the potential there. I want to keep Deuce McBride, but like Brunson, Deuce lacks the height, and that's the issue on this team. So I don't know. The Knicks front office is really going to have their work cut out for them. Team has no identity with inconsistent use of Cat, OG, and Bridges. Yeah, sometimes when it comes to Bridges, I'm not sure if Mike Brown's not utilizing him correctly. I think it's both. I'm going to be honest. I think it's both. I think part of it is Mike Brown not using Bridges correctly, and the other half of it is Mikal Bridges. Mikal is in his head. His confidence seems to kind of be rebuilding. I think he's been seeming like he's trying to be a little bit more consistent, giving us the 14 points over the last 3 games because Mikal hears the chatter. I don't care if you don't, social media, everybody has it. You know what I mean? Every news pops up on your phone. You have an iPhone, you have an Android. Everybody gets some type of news notifications popped up on their phone. So he sees it, he hears it. And, I know Divalox had brought up Josh Hart coming to Mikel's defense. And right now, Josh and Stephen A are going back and forth, which is wild. But as much as I don't care for Stephen A because he's a switch hitter, he has a point. He has a point about Mikel. No one's ganging up on him. We going by what we see. Mikel hasn't been consistent. This is not just this season. This was even last year. Mikel gives you one great game in December. He gives you maybe a handful of 20-point something games throughout the season, but NBA teams play 82 games. You don't even give us 60 solid games. And I think the fact that we have to be like, you know what, as Knicks fans, that's just who he is. Like, I want us to stop settling. And I get Stephen A's. Again, I'm not a fan of his because he's a switch hitter and he's very fake when it comes to the Knicks. But I get his frustration when, as a Knicks fan, you're so eager for this team to win a championship already. You've been waiting long enough that it's like the team is growing, they're moving in a good direction. But then when you watch a player like him, and for me, it's not just about the picks. It's like he wanted to be here. He wanted to play here. It seems like the front office, did a favor and kept him. And honestly, they was better off keeping Dante DiVincenzo because Bridges plays too safe for me. It's like he's too afraid to get hurt. He's trying to have the straight A perfect attendance and it's just not enough for me, and Cat, I think it's the same thing like with Bridges. Some of it is Cat and the other half of it's you know, Mike Brown. So OG, I think he's been the most consistent. He's had his slumps and Cat has been better as of late, but some of it is a little bit of it's the player and some of it is Mike Brown. So I don't know. Like I said, we'll see when Knicks players show up in the playoffs. Um, yeah, Kolek needs more minutes. Yeah, but I don't know if he's probably going to get whatever minutes he gets. But when the playoffs come, I don't know. Now, I did mention that I would like to see Kolek get some minutes throughout the playoffs because I think players like Kolek, I think when you're looking for a defense, you can have Clarkson come in. I think he can be a difference maker off the bench. I think Sohan can be a difference off the bench as well when you need a defensive stop. I think those guys, parking them on the bench in the playoffs is not going to help you. If Brown is smart, he'll up the rotation. I know Divalox is like, it's not going to happen. He's probably going to keep it to 8 guys. I just don't think that that's going to work for this roster, keeping it to 8 guys, because what that does is it forces the majority of the pressure to be on the starters. And the reason why I say Mike Brown should extend the roster in the playoffs to at least 9, 10 guys is because, one, God forbid you get an injured player. That's one. Two, what if you have a guy that's not really showing up in a particular playoff series? What if Mikal Bridges is not really giving you nothing? This is what I'm saying too, what I'm looking for Mike Brown. You hypothetically, okay, you get to the first round of the playoffs. And it's not to say if a guy doesn't show up in the first round, they may not show up in the second round. Some guys, it could be opposite. They could play well throughout the regular season. The playoffs comes, they disappear. But what I'm saying is, do you keep playing a guy like Bridges or do you bring somebody else in? If he's off, sit him down. So I don't know if that whole thing with having Mikal play is kind of like what the Knicks did with when they had Precious Achua and they had what was this other guy's name? I can't think of his name right now, but almost like when the Knicks are kind of like allowing a player to play so they can say, well, I let you play. We let you play and give you the minutes, but you just didn't produce. I don't know if it's that kind of thing going on. I don't know. So getting rid of Cat would be foolish. Coach and Brunson are the issue with Cat. It doesn't all fall on Brunson and Mike Brown. You gotta put some of that on Carl Anthony Towns. He's not aggressive enough. The same way Mitchell Robinson is aggressive is how I want to see Carl Anthony Towns be aggressive. He has games where he's aggressive, but a lot of it falls on Cat. He's just not aggressive enough. So I don't know. The Knicks, they got some things they got to work on for sure. I'm looking for them to rebound, like I said on Sunday. It would be nice for them to get back a revenge game against the Thunder. That'll be a 7:30 game, and then they don't play again until Tuesday in Houston. So the Knicks still out on the road. These are games that I want them to win and finish off the regular season strong. It would be nice for them to try to creep up into that second spot, but neither way, they don't want to lose that third spot that they have right now. So yeah, we'll see. Shout out to the chat for joining me. Shout out to the replay gang as well. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I'm hoping the Knicks get that win on Sunday. And we'll see. We'll be around to talk about it on Monday and do a recap of that game. But until next